So what do you want to learn more about? What's your passion? What keeps you up at night? What makes you really excited to wake up in the morning? The more important question to ask yourself is, how do you know? How do you know if that's the right passion for you? How do you know if you might actually be better at writing instead of acting, or programming instead of writing? At the end of the day, you don't know unless you try, and you put yourself in different situations and you try new things. Some people die at 25 and aren't buried until they're 75. A lot of people quote this quote to Benjamin Franklin. Regardless of who said this quote terrifies me. It makes me think constantly if I am living my life to its fullest. It makes me think about, when I wake up in the morning, am I making the right choices? Am I doing things correctly? And I've really found that the best way to ensure that I'm living my life to its fullest is just by putting myself out there, by meeting new people, by taking on new projects. And I found that the best way to do that is through freelancing. Freelancing gives you the opportunity to learn, to try a new skill, to meet new people, whatever you want to learn, on someone else's dime. Instead of going to college and paying to get a degree and then to go get that hands-on experience, freelancing gives you the opportunity to learn at your own pace and to pick things up in a way that you want to pick them up. A really good example of this is for someone who wants to learn how to program. You can start off by saying, hey, I want to learn how to do landing pages, and I want to learn how to create very basic websites. So what you can start doing is maybe making websites using Squarespace and Wix, very much drag and drop, and then move your way up into doing very basic level programming. And then from there, you can start adding in a back end and really build this project up. And by the end of it, you're taking on projects that are very intricate. You're making websites and apps, and you learn that all at your own pace instead of going to a college and studying for 4 years. These are 3 very famous people who used freelancing as a way to figure out what industry not only did they want to go into, but it also helped them sustain themselves. To start things off, we have Gerald Gillum. He's best known by his stage name G-Eazy. He's a Bay Area rapper. And when he was pitching himself to record labels and trying to figure out his way within the rap world, he was using freelancing as a way to pay his rent. He was a freelance sound engineer, and he worked with many other rappers to help them engineer their sound. Next up, we have Casey Neistat. He is best known for his vlogs on YouTube. And when he first started out making videos, he was a freelance videographer. He worked with the likes of Nike and helped them, and many other companies, and helped them build their brand through video. And he used those skills and what he learned to really hone his craft and build one of the biggest vlog channels on YouTube today. And then last up, we have Hunter S. Thompson. He is best known for his very hands-on journalistic style. And before he got started as a journalist, he was also a freelance writer. The thing is, all 3 of these people learn very differently. And not many people learn similarly. So for me, I found that I don't really learn well by sitting at a desk, reading a textbook, taking an exam, and then retaining that information. I've never been that way. For me, I found I actually learn a lot better by doing, and by doing hands-on projects and putting myself out there. So it's no surprise that in 2014, when I was going to college, I kind of felt a little out of place. College just didn't really feel right, but college was the traditional path. I wanted to become a software engineer. So when I said I wanted to go work at the likes of Google, and I wanted to make apps, and I wanted to do projects, that was the traditional path to go. That was the way I was told to go. In the beginning of 2014, I started uploading videos to YouTube documenting my transition into college as a freshman. I thought it would be cool to see how I changed throughout the span of that year, leaving from my parents' house and moving out. But I found instead of documenting my time in school and my time learning, I was actually documenting my time at the co-working space, the Anvil, working on entrepreneurship projects. I was documenting my time at hackathons, and I was learning how to market myself and how to build a brand. Fast forward forward to the end of my freshman year, I was approached by a group of people at the Purdue Research Foundation, and they said, hey, you're pulling in like 10 to 15,000 views a month right now from Purdue University alone. How did you build this brand, and can you help us build this brand as well? So I reached out to my classmate Jay, and I said, hey, can you help me start this digital marketing agency, and let's work with companies at Purdue and help them build their brand with the Purdue students and even outside of Purdue's campus. So within the first 6 months, we basically used Jamocha as a way and a vehicle to take on freelancing projects. We wanted to learn website development, we'd take on a website client. We wanted to learn growth hacking, we'd take on a growth hacking client. Social media, you get the drift. We were doing our best to just take on different projects. And I also learned more and more so how to build my brand and how to use my brand as a way to drive leads. Fast forward to the end of my sophomore year, with a lot of persuasion to my parents, I was able to drop out and take a semester off of school. They said, all right, we'll give you a semester up to a year. You can go and try to figure it out. So at the end of my sophomore year, I booked a one-way ticket to the Bay Area, and I worked as an intern at a company as a data engineer over the summer. And on the nights and weekends, I was working with my friend Connor, and we would just spitball back and forth different ideas. We'd be like, what if we did this? What if Jamocha was pitched this way? And really, I was just trying to hone my craft. I was trying to figure out, how do I become the best marketer in the Bay Area? That was my goal. I wanted to be the person that people came to when they needed to market their product. Fast forward to August of 2016, the summer's over, and all of my friends leave to go back to school, and that's when it hits me. I was just like, man, they're all back, and I'm here. I really need to make the most of this time, and I need to really hone my skill. So I moved to this apartment in San Francisco, and this is exactly what it looked like for the 8 months that I lived there. No furniture. I couldn't afford anything. And basically on these walls were just Post-it notes. I'd wake up in the morning, and I'd just sit and just like stare and write and work and try to market myself and bring in these new clients. And I learned so much in this time, and the naivete of the whole thing was really what pushed me forward and is what helped me figure out, like, okay, this is what I want to do. And the biggest thing that I learned throughout this whole thing was I learned how to fail. I learned how to feel uncomfortable, or I learned how to feel comfortable with the idea of feeling uncomfortable. I learned that, okay, if this specific thing doesn't work out, life moves and it keeps on going on. And once I learned this skill and I learned how to fail and how to set myself up to take on new things, the world became endless. There were no limits. Basically, anything I wanted to try or whatever I wanted to do, I used Jamocha Media as a vehicle to put myself out there and to learn it. So I wanted to learn more about the news and how the news worked. So I started going on news segments talking about LinkedIn, digital marketing, Generation Z, and social media. I wanted to learn more about politics. I was like, hey, I'll run for mayor. So I ran for mayor of San Francisco. I'm the youngest person to ever run for mayor in the city of San Francisco. I wanted to learn more about PR, so we ended up hiring a PR firm with Jamocha Media, and I've been featured on Forbes, Adweek, Marie Claire, and I learned the ins and outs of how to pitch myself and build that brand. So you want to break into freelancing. You want to maybe try something new. And here's the thing, freelancing can be something that's done alongside of your job. You don't have to leave your job or move to the Bay Area or set yourself up in an uncomfortable situation. You can pick up whatever skill you want to, and freelancing is a really good way to practice it and make it worth your time. These are my commandments. So the first commandment is to always improve your craft. I look at myself as my biggest project. At the end of the day, when I die, I want to look back at me and myself and think like, wow, I am the best version of myself that I could possibly be. Clients aren't going to want to work with you. You aren't going to be able to build yourself if you aren't looking at yourself as a project and really honing your craft. Next step is building a network and identifying what groups your clients are coming from, and then also who are your allies within your freelancing industry. I found for the client side of things, when I first moved to the Bay, I really wanted to work with startups. So my thought process was, okay, the startups are getting investment from the VC firms, the venture capitalist firms. The venture capitalist firms have the money that they're giving to the startup, so I need to befriend the venture capitalists. So I started sneaking into these venture capitalist parties, and that's how I built my initial brand, and that's how I was able to meet all of these people and build my initial deal flow. And now I recognize that not everyone can move out to the Bay and can sneak into venture capital parties, but the internet is at your disposal. You have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can build out your audience and deal flow for yourself and meet so many people through the internet. Next step is learning to communicate effectively. And this is so important for freelancing because most likely as a freelancer, you're going to be working remotely. So if you can learn how to communicate with someone remotely and make sure that you get your message across, that's incredibly important. And also making sure that the people that you're talking to, you have systems set in place to understand them better as well. Next up is building a brand. And this is something that I've been doing since the beginning of my career. And Gary Vaynerchuk, he's the CEO of VaynerMedia, a multi-million-dollar ad agency in New York City. He built this playbook for building a brand and using it to start off a services-based business. And basically, the whole idea behind this is that if you're creating content around what you're specifically selling, people will know then to come to you to do that service for them. So if you build a brand around digital marketing, people are going to know that, hey, this person knows all about digital marketing. I know I can come to them and they can probably do it for me too. Whenever you're getting started in freelancing, you want to make sure that you choose a niche. You choose, okay, this is what I'm really going to figure out what I'm going to hone in on. So that could be digital marketing. And within digital marketing, it could be social media. You only offer social media. Or if you're trying to learn how to program, it would be just landing pages and building out websites for clients that are looking to create a homepage for their product. Whatever you do, choose a niche and then slowly start to build yourself out. The next question you want to ask yourself is, how can I automate myself out of this business that I'm creating? At the end of the day, a freelancing business is only as scalable as you. You only have 24 hours in a day that you can do work. So you need to figure out, what are the moving parts of my machine that make my business up? And then how can I slowly start to automate myself out? So that way you can take on more clients and make more money. And then lastly, you want to productize your offerings. And by productize, I mean really define the deliverables that you're giving to your clients. So back to social media marketing, if you were to productize your offerings, you would say, okay, for 4 tweets a day, you owe me $400 a month. So you know that every client that's paying you $400 a month, you have to make sure that you get out 4 tweets for them a day. The deliverables are defined, you know exactly what they're getting, and they know exactly what they have to give you. The last thing to remember with freelancing is that every day is a new day. Every day you're going to be picking up a new skill. Every day you're going to be learning. And as long as you are optimizing for learning and putting yourself out there, you will be able to live your life to its fullest. Thank you.